Hey, I'm Tori Kelly, and you're listening to Main Pod Girl.
Hey, welcome to Main Pod Girl.
This is a podcast made by popheads for popheads.
Every episode, y'all can check in with us where we discuss your burning questions, as well as what's happening in pop music.
Throughout this series, we'll be diving into all kinds of pop culture topics with some of our favorite artists and music commentators.
Yes, we will. Hello, everybody. I am an alt pop artist, songwriter, and your resident alpha male, Sola Ginto.
And I'm a pop rock artist, songwriter, and forever trying to nail the riff and nobody love, AJ Marks. And this episode is truly one for the books because we have a legendary guest with us today. Mm-hmm. She's a songwriter, world-class vocalist, producer, voice actress, and author, having collaborated with Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, Pharrell Williams, Janet Shea, Pentatonics, Lecrae, and our girl, friend of the pod, JoJo.
Shout out JoJo.
Her debut album, Unbreakable Smile, debuted at number 2 on the Billboard charts, and she was nominated for Best New Artist at the Grammys. She later went on to win 2 other Grammys, and she voices Mina in the $1 Billion Sing franchise. Please welcome our newest Main Pod Girl, Tori Kelly.
Hi.
Hello.
What an intro. Wow. It's weird hearing you say all those things.
I feel like everyone's really stunned by our intros. Do people not hype you up enough?
I mean, no, I feel like I have hyped people in my life.
I was going to say, you need more yes men.
No, it's weird hearing it, like all those things, like in order. It's just I feel very grateful, but thanks.
I didn't know that Sing was a $1 billion franchise.
I don't think I did either. I mean, I knew it was big, but like that exact number.
I hate to break it to you, but $1 billion.
That's pretty cool. I'm just going to go around saying that.
Yeah,
you should be like, oh yeah, I have to record for my $1 billion franchise this day. So.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, just I'm a little busy.
So let's start off with an icebreaker. What's everyone listening to?
Ooh.
Sola, do you want to start us off?
Yes. So for me, I have been making my way slowly through Slow Tie's new album, Ugly, because I love Slow Tie. The opening track, it's a whirlwind. It's almost like a fucking like YouTube video. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like voice acting. It's like a therapy session. And like at points, he's like breathing really heavy and he's telling himself to like breathe and stuff. Yeah. So I've just been working my way through that. And then JPEG Mafia's discography. And it's all outrageous.
Love that.
What about you, Tori?
What am I listening to? I think for me, it's kind of whatever mood I'm in, which changes, day by day. I feel like overall right now, I'm really into just Afro beats in general. It makes me so happy. There's an album, it's Fireboy's latest album. That's just like on repeat all the time.
All right, I'm writing that down.
You know what I'll do sometimes too is there's just a song that I discover. I'll just put on like the radio station for that. And I feel like you can't go wrong. Like every being within that genre right now is just good to me.
Spotify has got you in their algorithm. They're like, Tori Kelly, only the best for you.
Yeah, they know me. But yeah, there's also Domi and JD Beck. I have a younger brother and he just has really cool music taste and he's always showing me new artists and like sending me things over text. And this was one of them. This is when I'm in like my super like I want to nerd out on just like crazy chords, like crazy melodies where it's like I don't find myself like singing it throughout the day, but it's like so addicting to me. That's just the talent is just insane.
That's like Jacob Collier for me.
Oh, love Jacob. Yes. Oh, the SZA album I've been listening to as well. Like that really grew on me. Love it.
But with Domi and JD, the thing for me, like great shout with the Jacob Collier thing, because for me, like, and I hope this doesn't come across as insulting because I do not mean this as an insult, but I always like describe it as it's not exactly easy listening. It's something that I want to like nerd out to and like focus on.
I think honestly, that's such a compliment. Like I would love if I made music that like people were like, yeah, I really have to focus on this. Like not in a bad way, but just like I sit there and I want to pay attention.
You know what it is? And I've had this conversation with some other music friends. It's like fine dining. It's like this really, it sounds expensive. You have to really pay attention to it. You might take someone to a fine dining restaurant and they might not appreciate it because they're, you know, it's these little tiny bougie plates or something. And they're just like, I don't get this. I want a burger. Like, I don't know what this is. And where there's like, if you're really into that and you experience it and you're like into the art of it all and you can really dissect it, like, I'm a huge foodie, so I just get into like food in general. But I think of it sometimes in the same way as music, where, you know, it's like, it's so advanced. Like, there's just so much talent, but it's like, you really have to sit and appreciate it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
you can't
absolutely.
just like brush over it.
Hiatus Coyote, for example. Like, I feel like they're sort of
Obsessed.
in the same vein, right? Obsessed.
Which is so funny because Hiatus Coyote is actually not the fine dining for me. Like, that used to be my burger. Like, me and my sisters, like every day, Molasses by Hiatus Coyote was the perfect time driving from our home to school. And so we would just go and just sing every single note on the way there. And then we would sing every single note on the way back, like for 2 years.
Good.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I love them.
That's so funny that you say that, AJ, because my equivalent of that was just every single day I would listen to fucking like I'm on a boat or something.
Wait, like Lonely Island?
Yes.
I love them. Oh my gosh, I would fangirl so hard if I met Andy Samberg right now.
I feel like you could be on a Lonely Island song.
That's my dream. I'll do it if he's listening to this.
Yeah, Andy, if you're listening.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm a big fan. I had a phase for sure too of like just listening to their album like all the time.
We should get them on the podcast and then tell them to collab with Tori.
Yes.
Because,
please.
I mean, I want to use this podcast as a way to just like put little ideas in people's heads. Like, I told JoJo about this, and I'm just gonna have to. I feel like I have to do my due diligence and like tell you about it too. Wouldn't it be so perfect if like you, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, JoJo, and you were all performing at like the Grammys or singing on a stage or something?
Done.
I saw the vision.
Love that. You know what? I'm into that. I don't know what needs to happen to like get that to be a thing.
I mean, all of you have collaborated, right?
Yes.
Like, you've worked with all three of them. Demi's worked
to
with
some capacity, I guess. We've never done
a cover or.
Yeah, we've never done like legit or like original songs together. I think like Ari and Demi have, and JoJo and I obviously have sang together.
Yeah, and JoJo and Demi.
Oh yeah, and JoJo and Demi. Yeah, she was on one of her songs.
Oh, we're so close.
I know, we're so close.
I think at the time, 2015 or something, none of you had collaborated, and since then, all of you have like done some sort of like with each other. I think there's only one connection that's missing. I think that's Ariana and JoJo. And everyone else has been connected in some way. And at one point, I think there was a karaoke party where three of you were singing.
Why do you know this?
It was online,
Oh, okay.
But it was just missing
we're just missing JoJo.
So we gotta get her in on that. Like, I was just like, that was so close to my dream. It was three of you. So anyway.
Yeah. No, we need to make that happen.
But what have you been listening to? Yeah, you never got to yours.
I've been listening to
those four. We've listened to those four. Yeah.
I've been listening to so much Shania Twain recently.
Love.
Just because, she did something. We were working with her team, and she did something.
Gosh.
She recorded a little video for Pop Heads, and it was just so sweet. And I felt so touched. And I was like, you know what? I should really just have a Shania moment. And I've been having one for like 2 months now.
Wow.
And then Ryan Beatty just came out with a new single.
Oh my gosh. I need to check that out. I love him.
Like, both his previous two albums have been like the best albums of the year, like in their respective years.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sleeping on that. I'm like a fan of his, and I've known him for years. So I need to get on that.
You know him?
I mean, we've just like crossed paths. I shouldn't say like, you know, like
in
we're
passing.
not.
Your acquaintances.
Yeah, like I've known him in passing. Like we've known of each other, and I just think he's so talented, and I know he's like, it's kind of like a new-ish sound, right, for him, kind of from when he like first started out.
Yeah, but then I've also been, and this is great for this podcast, I've also been listening to Missin' You.
Are you trying to plug? Are you plugging my song?
I'm plugging, but I'm actually also being for real. Like, if I was saying what I was listening to, like, that's the top of my playlist right now, like, quite literally.
Wow,
so I'm like,
thanks.
Is there like some British influence there?
Yes,
I thought so.
Absolutely. There's a UK vibe for sure. Yeah.
You're giving us lyrics about nostalgia, like a beat and a video that are like Y2K nostalgic. And then I think the thing that works so much for me, this really strong contrast, because this is a totally new sound for you. So it's like nostalgia for everything except your career, because this is like something pushing forward in your career.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's kind of the element that like really sticks with me. I'm like, all right, we're new, but we're also like familiar territory.
Totally. I feel like I couldn't have said it better than that. I mean, that's honestly how I feel with this new era and just this song in particular, and how it kind of blends, like you said, the nostalgic feeling both lyrically and sonically. But then also it kind of has that like futuristic new kind of thing in it to where, you know, you haven't heard me do this style, but it's, you know, reminiscent of the early 2000s, of course, like R&B. And then you, of course, have the like UK vibe, the drum and bass kind of thing. So it's this blend of all these different things that I love. And I worked on it with John Bellion. Do you guys know him?
Yes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan of his, like just he's like an artist, but a lot of people don't know he's also this amazing songwriter and producer. You know, he actually is doing my whole project. So we worked together on this song.
Hell yeah.
And he's just really good at pulling from these different places and kind of combining things to make it sound fresh and new. But I also feel like it also kind of has a nostalgic thing for me personally, because it's kind of like I'm tapping into my roots again and kind of going back in some ways, singing the styles that I grew up singing and, you know, singing those types of songs, or even like the songs that I always kind of imagined me having. And I sort of walked into the studio and I was just like, I want big sounding songs that you can belt out in your car and dance to. And that was literally like what drove this whole new sound.
And you totally have the capability for that, right? Because we've all heard, you know, Expensive, Nobody Love, California Lovers, like those big, you know,
that first
anthem
album,
songs. Yeah. And I'm just going to ask, it's going to make me sound so stupid, but I just need to know, what's the Riesling line about? Because I had to Google what that was because I'm not a wine drinker.
Okay. We can get into it.
So you're off that Riesling means like you're not drinking wine? I'm confused.
So we can get into this. It's very slangy. So this was like a conversation between John and I, and we were like, we wanted that line to just feel so like earwormy and catchy and weird. Like we purposely wanted it to feel weird because we felt like that's gonna kind of stick, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's my favorite line, so it totally worked.
Yeah, and you're like, what does this mean? So I'm not gonna lie. I drink every once in a while, but I'm not like, you know, I don't drink often because like the vocal thing, it dries out my voice. But if I'm gonna drink, I'm not necessarily gonna drink Riesling. And it is a wine. It's a white wine.
So you've always been off that Riesling.
But the thing
you've never been on it.
The off, yeah, exactly. But I think I know being off that Riesling is kind of slang for like I'm lit, like I'm drinking this Riesling.
Like off your head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, off. Okay. Got it.
I'm like having some wine. I'm thinking about this person, you know, I'm like in my feelings. That's kind of the vibe.
Oh my God. Being in your wine feelings is so dangerous.
It is. There's a little bit of acting involved when I'm singing that line. But in general, I think as artists, we kind of put on the actor hat a lot. But yeah, that line has been funny to read comments, like just some people being like, yes, Riesling. Like I love Riesling. And the other people are like, why Riesling? Like, what is she talking about? So I think that was kind of the point though. It's like, let's just like throw this out there and make people, you know, talk about it.
So what do you think initiated this sort of new sonic direction and motivated you to change it up like this?
Amazing. Love that question. I think it was a combination of things. So the timing of me putting out this music and then just where I'm at in life, it really feels like everything is kind of led up to this moment. So, you know, I think of my last album, which was now it was like 3.5, almost 4 years ago. It was in 2019. Yeah, I guess my last original album, that's what I should say. Thinking of that album and how anything I put out is some form of therapy for me. I just think music is very therapeutic, but that album in particular was like very, very therapeutic. And it represented a time in my life where I was just going through a lot and my parents were separating. My grandfather, who I was really close with, passed away. And then, you know, I got engaged to my now husband. There was just like so much happening in this one season. All of that, you know, sort of came out into that album. And then obviously pandemic happens, things kind of slow down. I get to a place where there's been so much healing with family. There's this really good time in my life. You know, say time heals. And I think that's true because after a while, it was like, oh, I don't have any music to represent like where I'm at. Like that, if that was the last album that I put out and I'm in such a good place and I'm, wanting to sing fun songs and I want to dance and I'm just totally different place. I was like, I need this next project to really represent that. Me being in love, me becoming my own woman, me being more confident, stepping into this new season of just like womanhood, feeling comfortable in my own skin. There's just all these things that led up to this music. Before the music was even made, I was already like feeling those things. So I think the music just poured out of me from that place.
Yeah.
And obviously people have only heard one song, but this album has been for me, one, it's definitely my favorite music that I've ever made. And two, it feels like everything has sort of led up to this album. So I'm not, it's not like I'm discrediting everything I've done. It's all in there. But then at the same time, it feels almost like a new start, like a fresh new thing that people haven't seen from me yet, because I feel like I have so much more to offer the world. Very excited for people to hear what's coming, because I think it's my best stuff.
What can we expect sonically from it then?
Sonically, we touch on a few different themes, I would say, sonically. We obviously have Y2K references that you guys hear in Missing You that kind of bleeds into the rest of the album as well.
Slay.
Yes. That like sort of 2000s R&B thing. I think soulfulness just in general is always going to be a part of who I am. So you can kind of always expect an element of that, of me just as a vocalist. And I think that's also kind of the through line as well, even though people might be like, oh, this is a different sound. It's like me as a singer is always going to be there. And, I'm always going to stay true to that, which has been fun, because then that allows me to explore and, try different sounds and stuff.
It's like the axis in which you lean on, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was so fun in the studio, because I walked in and John and I were just talking about how, people know me as a singer. I've, I guess, proven myself as a singer, if you will. I've been able to do all these amazing things. People, when they hear my name, they think, oh, great singer, which is like awesome. But I'm like, who am I as an artist? Who am I as an entertainer? Who am I as a performer? Like, there's so much more to it than just me being a singer. So I think going into the studio with that in mind, it allowed me to almost let out these different sides of me. I think that have always been there, but they've just haven't had the right foundation to come out. They haven't had the right songs, to be able to be like, oh, that girl is in there too. Or this tone, even in Missing You, like the verses, those low notes, like that was all sort of created in the studio. Like we were having so much fun being like, how can we make my voice sound a little different? Like where can I take, how can I switch up my tone a little bit where it's still me, but it feels like this fresh new thing instead of the typical thing that you've heard.
I have so many facets of my voice that I just didn't think would mesh well with pop music more generally, I guess. And like putting on kind of little like cutesy voices or like doing, some fucking yelling or whatever. So if that's the case for you as well, could you give us like a little bit more insight on what that might be?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, just thinking of Missing You, we just talked about Riesling. That was a line where we were literally like, how can we make this sound interesting and like weird and quirky? And, we just had so much fun with it instead of me just kind of singing the song how I would usually sing it. Because it sounds strange. Even when I hear it, I'm like, oh, that sounds weird. But it's like,
it's the way you like sing, like you're like, I'm up that reads like
I'm up that reads
so fast that it almost sounds like you're sped up. And I really
but I'm
like
not.
it.
I'm really singing it. And that's the thing too. People are like, oh my gosh, she has like so many effects on her voice. And I'm like, actually, no, that's just me like singing it weirdly,
Acoustic effects.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing that within your body.
People have asked me like, well, how are you going to do this live? And I'm like, well, because I can do it live.
Right. Exactly. That's the fun part too, for me, at least, is like being in the studio. I feel so free to try. That was such a theme for us, was like that Riesling line there. That happened so many other times in the studio where I would just kind of get into a character or, let out this other side of me that was just so fun, and I could experiment, but then also knowing in the back of my head, like when I perform live, you have also freedom to switch it up again if you want. You don't have to like stick to how it is on the record. So that was very freeing as well. It was so fun just getting to be different people. Just kidding. It's not different people. It's still me. I keep saying that, but
I know what you mean.
yeah, like
it's like different people within inside you, because it's like when you're an artist or when you have to project a persona or a brand or anything like that,
yes.
like it's like taking one piece of you and amplifying that, because that's easy to digest for like the masses.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but I have all these other parts of my personality, and so they're already there, but you're like, but they almost feel like they have to be different people or different pop stars that all have to like,
they're like
coincide.
alter egos almost. Yeah.
Or they're like different spices in your spice drawer. You know, they were always there in the spice drawer.
They're the Spice Girls.
Yes.
I have the Spice Girls inside of me. Like, who am I today? That's so good. All the spices in my spice drawer. No, that's real. And you just, you said it so well. That's exactly how I feel.
On the topic of proving that you're more than just a singer, I want to talk about a story from, I think, 2015, where essentially Scooter Braun was giving you the rundown on what some people think of you, that he was saying, you know, that people know that you're a great singer, but some people might think you're a little boring or vanilla. And how are we going to prove to them that they're wrong? And you showed up the next day with the song Unbreakable Smile. And that song still like deeply resonates with me and fascinates me because of the clarity of your message. Like, it's so direct, self-assured, and packed with like so much personality and like sass and like, but you can get the sweetness there too.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story from your perspective about the process of writing that song and how you feel about it now, like 8 years later?
Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. It's 8 years. Yeah, it was kind of more, I think, to put fire under me. Like, hey, people are saying this. And he was keeping it real, like, you know, like, you're very talented, but it's kind of like, what else is there, sort of thing. I think he knew what he was doing, too, because he knew I had been frustrated for a long time. And whatever he did kind of worked, because by him telling me that, I literally went into my studio. And also, just to give context, this was after like a big meeting. So I had like a meeting with my label at the time, and we played them pretty much a whole album that none of it got used because I mean, you've heard this from a million artists. It's the typical, like, we love it, but there's no hits. And I'm just like, cool. And this is like after, you know, a year and a half of writing. So,
damn,
you know, was frustrated. And then that was kind of the context of that conversation and stuff. So I went into my room and I was like, oh, y'all think I'm boring? And I was like, you know, putting just all of my energy into that song. And you can hear it. Like, you can hear, because it wasn't only that. I mean, I was signed when I was 12 years old, and then I had been hearing. Yeah, it sounds so weird when I say it. I was signed at 12 years old. I've been in and out of the industry, and it's been that same narrative. Even when I was a kid, it was like, wow, amazing voice, but what else? You know, or amazing voice, but not the right songs, or amazing voice, but there's no drama. There's no like, what's that thing that's like interesting? And I was just like, why can't I just sing? Like, I just love to sing. I don't know what else to tell you guys. And, you know, and I have a great family, and like things are cool. So that, you know, hearing that, you know, years later, I'm on a label, I'm trying to figure out what the sound is. I think it was not just that, but it was also me, you know, channeling those frustrations that I had as a kid of like, nobody understands me. Like, people want me to be this thing. People want, you know, maybe they want me to show more skin, or they want me to, there's so many things, or sing about this, or cuss in my songs, or whatever it was, just to be edgy. And so all of that really, I wasn't expecting to talk about this actually, but I channeled all of that into that song. And that song, Unbreakable Smile, was what got people's attention. They were like, oh, like, that's how you feel. Okay. And then that was, you know, that kind of became the start of that album, was that song.
Nice. Thank you. I just needed the context, because that's my song that I like can't listen to without just focusing in on it. You know, and like I focus on every word every single time I hear it. And now I know the story straight from the horse's mouth, I guess. Is that the phrase? I'm not calling you a horse.
I don't know. You can call me a horse. It's okay. Horses are beautiful. So
it's true. They're majestic.
They're so magical. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm into it.
Like, my best friend is like your biggest fan, and she's gonna be like, how'd it go? And I'll be like, yeah, I called her a horse, and then she thanked me.
Hey, Liv. That's awesome.
So we have a game called Who You Gonna Call? We're going to put you in 3 hypothetical scenarios, and you're going to have to end up calling one of 3 people to help you out. And you know all of these people.
Okay, so it's like multiple choice.
Yes, it's multiple choice.
Okay, good. I love this.
So the first one, you're remodeling your kitchen and you need an extra hand.
I'm already laughing.
We're going to give you 3 of your past collaborators or tour mates. Who are you going to call out of them? Number 1, Sam Smith.
Okay.
Number 2, Ed Sheeran. And number 3, Justin Bieber. Who's going to help you remodel your kitchen?
Wow. It's just so funny to picture all 3.
Yes.
Like any of them helping me with my kitchen is just really funny.
They've all offered, but you can only take one of them up on it.
Yeah.
They're all really eager to help me with my kitchen.
They have a vision. Yeah.
So it's like a remodel, like physical labor. Is that a part of it?
Yes.
It's DIY.
Okay, we're getting our hands dirty. We're doing it. Yeah, we're designing it. Oh, man. And I feel like they'd all have like different styles of kitchen.
It's true.
That they would like, you know? Ed's like a simple dude, though. Like, I feel like he wouldn't really like get into the details as much, and he would just be cool. Like, it's just a kitchen, you know? I don't know. Actually, I don't know what he would. Maybe he likes really elaborate kitchens. I don't know. This is so hard. I know. I kind of want to pick Sam for some reason. I feel like we would have fun. Like, we would be going through like ideas, colors, like all the things, and we would really get into it. And I know like a foodie like me, so we would think about the food that would be cooked there in the kitchen. I think my answer is Sam Smith for the kitchen remodel. Sorry, Justin and Ed.
Sorry, Justin. Sorry, Ed. Yeah. So the second one is you've been hired to make the music for the brand new Monsters, Inc. the musical.
Are they really making a musical?
No, but they need to.
I want that. It sounded real to me. You could have fooled me.
Right?
If you were making the libretto, like who would you get on your team to help you make the music? And these are 3 past collaborators. Who are you going to call? Is it A, JoJo, B, Jacob Collier, or C, all 5 members of Pentatonics?
Oh my gosh, you guys, these are really good. These are good questions.
But you can't pick all of them.
I can't.
They refuse to share that many royalties.
Oh man.
Who gives the most like Monsters Inc. energy? Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, no, that's kind of, and it's a musical, or like on Broadway, like it's a musical. Okay.
Yes.
Oh man, see, I feel like, you know, I love my girl JoJo, but I mean, she's doing Broadway actually right now.
She is.
So wait, maybe she would have good insight.
Yes.
Dang, now it's hard.
You were about to kick JoJo to the curb.
I feel like our styles though, like for Monsters Inc., maybe it would be too much of like one thing. I don't know. Like maybe I need someone like a Jacob who's like really, his mind can just go to like crazy places. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then like Pentatonics feels very like musical theater to me. Like they
and
have
also you get
that
5 extra people.
I know. Yeah. The extra people. Haven't they? I feel like they've written a musical or something. I feel like that's kind of their scene.
Probably. But then Mike Sully's going to have to beatbox or something like that.
Right. Right. But that'd be kind of dope.
That would be super dope.
Yeah. Like they need to just learn.
Yeah.
It's not just, they need to just get with it, you know, and learn. Yeah, I think I picked Pentatonics for this one just because of the extra hands, and I just feel like they would kill that.
All right.
That's hard. Okay,
now the last one. You are on a Great British Bake Off type competition, and you get to choose. You get to choose out of your Sing co-stars only one to help you make your final dessert. Who do you choose? A, Scarlett Johansson. B, Reese Witherspoon. Or C, Halsey.
Oh, wow. Y'all really put some effort into these questions. I'm just laughing at really picturing this because
we try to make them like as like kind of wild as possible.
They're wild, but also like you could kind of picture it happening. Yeah. Like it's not that wild.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
We might end up being like The Simpsons, where like they're like, wow, this podcast predicted everything.
Yeah.
Literally. Wow. Okay. So you said Scarlett, Reese, or Halsey for a British baking show or bake-off situation, and I'm going against like legit bakers. Is that what's happening?
Maybe you're going against whoever you don't choose. You have to go against.
Oh, the plot thickens.
So it's 2v2, and you can pick one person for your team, and then the other 2 have to go against you guys.
Okay. Oh, see this now I'm thinking of like, hey, what would make good television? You know, like what would just be, what would be the best? Well, yeah. Okay. So I feel like me going against Halsey would be fun because we're both like in the music world, whatever. And that would be interesting. And then we each pick our actor friends.
So it's like dodgeball. Who are you going to pick first?
Yeah.
Who are you going to leave for Halsey?
Dang. You know why this is so hard though? Is because we're not who we're going to leave for Halsey. That's funny. I love Halsey. You know why this is so hard though? Is I love all three of them. Reese is so sweet and so funny. And I got to do a bunch of promo with Scarlett and got to know her. And she's also like so cool and fun. I feel like for some reason, I feel like Reese maybe cooks more or like
I was gonna
bakes.
say.
I feel like she's a baker for some reason. Like I can picture her like baking cupcakes.
I feel like Colin Jost makes all of Scarlett's.
Yeah. I have no idea. Maybe she's like into cooking, but for some reason Reese just gives me like, I don't know, like warm, like baking. Like she just makes cookies all the time in my mind.
I bet she has a cookbook.
Yeah. So I think I would pick her. I just feel like I might have a leg up or something if I pick her.
You and Reese versus Halsey and Scarlett.
Yeah. You're like,
so
sorry,
random.
Halsey, you're getting Scarlett.
Oh no. But who knows? They would maybe kill it.
She's useless. Good luck, Halsey.
Oh my God.
I'm completely kidding.
Watch it come out in a couple weeks that Scarlett is like starting a baking show.
I know, right? Wow. Yeah, you guys really took me there mentally. I'm like,
It's true.
feels like it should happen.
All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we move on to top 5?
Yes. I remember wanting to learn how to riff more because like my voice is quite heavy. I have like thick folds. And so I watched the breaking down the riff of PYT for a solid like hour and a half trying to nail, because my voice just does not want to do that.
You can learn, you can do it. That's cool that you like were breaking, like watched the video and stuff and breaking it down. Was it Natalie?
Yes, Natalie Weiss.
Yeah,
yes.
Natalie Weiss. She's so good at that.
How do you, I mean, this is an impromptu question, so let's see if I phrase it okay. How do you do that? You have the floor.
No pressure. Yeah, well it's going to sound cliche, I feel like, but it was repetition and just copying my favorite singers who did runs. I would point people to gospel music, to be honest, because
gospel chops.
Gospel singers really love their runs. And my mind was so open, you know, when I would listen to that and just the places that they would go. There's Jay Moss was a big influence as far as just runs in particular. Kira Sheard. There's so many artists. Mary Mary was a big influence on me. So yeah, I think gospel music really helped as I would just like listen over and over. And then whether it's gospel music or just a singer that, you know, that you like their runs, what I would do, I would listen to it and I would learn it. But then the next step is I would learn the harmony to it. Because I feel like it kind of does something to your brain where, you know, if you learn a run, that's fine. But then if you learn the harmony of it, it almost becomes a different, I mean, it does. It becomes like they're different notes, right? So it becomes a different run. And then suddenly your mind is just a little more open, I think, to other possibilities.
It's like learning the shape of it.
Yeah, because then when you just, you know, when you're just on your own and it's like, okay, come up with a run right now, you have all these sort of options in your head. And the other thing I would say, and this is actually a story about where the PYT run came from. I give a lot of credit to my dad because he just has such a great ear. He's a singer as well. And his biggest thing for me growing up was to figure out what my sound was. I think I've always been good at copying other singers. I like do like impressions of them and stuff. And
I've heard your impressions.
Oh yeah, they're the impression
really
TikTok.
Solid. Yeah.
But it's how I would learn. Like I would just copy people and you know, like I'm saying with the runs and stuff, I would just, you know, obsess over that one run and I would start to sound like them. And so his biggest thing was like, I would start listening to an artist too much and he would like turn it off. He'd be like, no, you can't listen to them anymore. Like next person. But also when it came to runs, what he would say and what he said with the PYT cover, I practiced that cover for like 3 days straight because it was so hard on guitar. And I was just, you know, trying to make it my own. And I kind of presented it to him to see what he thought. Cause we would do that all the time. I would just bounce things off of him. And he was like, it's really, really good. The only part I would change is when you do your run, which at the time I was riffing downward. So I don't know what I did exactly, but it was just it was a more natural run. And he was like, what I would say is that run right there, instead of going down, what if you reverse it and go upwards? And I was like, that's weird, but okay. And so like, I tried it, and it, it felt unnatural at first, but it felt cool and different and interesting because it wasn't, the typical thing that I was used to hearing. So those would be kind of my three things: learn the run, obsess over it, then learn the harmony, and then reverse it and try to learn it backwards. Because I think those three things really can open up your mind and just give you more options once it's time to actually sing.
Oh my God, I'm leaving this podcast with a to-do list.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to give like really practical things, but I was like, actually, no, like there are things that I've grown up just doing. And, and after a while, it just becomes second nature, I think.
Okay. So like most episodes, this time we're going out on a top 5. This episode, Tori has prepared her 5 favorite songs of her own.
I tried, yes. I did my top 5 songs of my own throughout my career. It's funny though, because talking to y'all and second guessing some of my answers because you made me think of other songs. But we'll see.
And they can also be upcoming too.
The only thing is like the top 5 would probably be all of my new stuff,
Wow. Oh, I love that.
But I'll focus on sort of past things. But, just know that it's probably all going to change once my new album comes out. Yeah, so number 5, this was really hard to rank, by the way. Number 5, I feel like I wanted to include this, even though it's not a song that I wrote. It is a cover that I was lucky enough to sing in the Sing movie, which is Don't You Worry About a Thing.
Yes.
And the reason I'm ranking this here is because I feel like this is my hardest song vocally. And it really gave me a lot of confidence as a singer and vocalist. And I think a lot of people just point to this song as, I see so many covers and just, people really appreciating the vocals, I guess, on this song. And I have to give a shout out also to Harvey Mason Jr., who did all the music for the Sing movies. And he really challenged me and just, had me singing notes that I didn't even know I could sing. So this was kind of a turning point for me as a vocalist, where I just felt like I was like really putting a stamp on this with this song. So Don't You Worry About a Thing was number 5. Number 4. And it also just to throw this out there, I kind of took songs from like each of my projects.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
So, the span of my career, I guess. So number 4 comes from my last album, Inspired by True Events. And it's the song Before the Dawn. And this was one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I did it with Jimmy Napes and Bruno Major, who is like an incredible singer-songwriter. And this was in London. And I just love the lyrics of this song and the chords of this song. It's so raw. And it's essentially me talking to the younger version of myself, of just like, kind of like, hang in there, it's going to be okay type of song. But there's also this other layer of Jimmy. He was late to that session. And when he got there, he arrived in a suit. And we were like, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, and he was like, yeah, I just came from like one of my good friend's funerals. And like, it was a sudden thing. And essentially this person had taken their own life, and it was like very sudden. And we were both like, you do not have to be here. Like, we can cancel the session. Like, please, do what you got to do. And he was like, no, I think I actually need to be here. Like, I need to write about this. And so that's just another layer on this song of like coming from that place of wishing you could let this person know, like, hey, there's help. Like, I'm here for you. Like, don't be afraid to share how you feel, essentially. So there's just so many layers in this song that, I've heard from other people that's helped them get through things. And it just feels like a really special song every time I hear it. And I've sang it at a friend's event. It was very personal. And there's just a lot tied to the song that I love.
Thank you for sharing that. No, that's great.
This is where it gets tough, because I literally wrote for number 3 from my first album, Unbreakable Smile. Number 3 is funny / Unbreakable Smile. Because when we were talking about the song Unbreakable Smile, I was like, dang, that's one of my favorites too. So yeah, I think since we talked about Unbreakable Smile, I'll just talk about funny as number 3. This is another kind of it's just acoustic and it's just super soulful. And I always loved the chords of the song. I think I just love this song because it's so fun to play. Like on tour, I did a whole thing with me and my guitar player, Mateus Asato, who's like a legend. He and I did this back and forth thing where I would do a riff and then he would copy it on guitar, and then we'd go back and forth and he would play a riff on guitar and I would try to sing it. And this was all live, like at the show. And we had so much fun with it. And there's something about the pace of the song and the chords of the song. I think just as a vocalist, it makes it really fun to sort of weave in and out of those chord progressions and notes. And I never get sick of it. Yeah. So that's why I love that one. It's number 3.
So it says live, right? But
yeah, it is live on the record.
If it didn't say that, I would not have thought it was live. Like it's so good. And I remember it's like, what live, how, like, where were you? Like, what's there to live recording of?
It was just in the studio. It was just like, it was a one take thing because we had done versions where it was a little more produced and structured. And then we just did a take where it was like, I'll just play guitar and sing it real quick. And I think we wanted to put, parentheses live. So kind of, so people knew like, this is just like a one take thing, very raw and, unfiltered. Okay. So this is number 2 is another kind of like, just, there's like a slash in here because it was hard for me to, sometimes I merge songs into one in my brain too, because I wrote these 2 songs around the same time. So number 2 for me is Confetti. I put / Dear No One because they're both, this might as well be like a top 6, I guess, because now I don't even remember if I wrote Confetti or Dear No One first, but I was 18 when I wrote both of these songs. And Confetti to me is like, I listen to that song sometimes and I'm just like, this feels like a 40-year-old woman wrote this. Like she's been through some things, or I don't know, like I'll listen to it. I'm like, it felt like I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt like I was beyond, like, I don't know where my mind was when I wrote that. And I tapped into even just the chords I'm playing are super like jazzy and the melodies and everything. And I think that song just came from such a pure place where I was just an independent artist. I wasn't in the industry necessarily, like things weren't crazy. I was just literally writing music in my room just because I just loved it. And so I listened back to that song, and it's also crazy too, because I'm singing about people think that you'll be happier once you reach the top, like, but I'm not going to wait for my happiness. I'm going to be happy now. And then so fast forward, and like all these amazing things have happened to me and I've like actually been able to live that dream out. I go back to that song and it's like, oh, like that's a reminder. It's like the old me was reminding my current me, like, make sure you stay grounded. Like that's not what happiness is, like make sure you're
I love that.
Tethered to a real support system and don't get lost in all of it. So that's why I love that song. So I'm like, thank you, 18-year-old me.
You're like, oh my God, you said something.
Yeah. Yes. Like slay 18-year-old me. And then kind of the similar vibe with Dear No One. Like, I don't know what kind of place I was in, but it was that same thing of like, you know what, I'm going to be happy even if I don't have a person in my life, like, let me make sure I'm good as a single woman.
Kind of ahead of its time.
Oh yeah.
The bedroom pop thing, you were doing it like 5 years before it was like, even like
before it was called bedroom pop.
It's just so weird thinking back on that time. I'm just so grateful for it because I think I really was sheltered from all the chaos that is the music industry, I guess. I'm so glad I was able to find my voice, on my own in my room. And I tell young artists that all the time too, just like, make sure you're really honing in on your craft and, pick up an instrument and just fall in love with your own music and just the process of, making your own music before you get into like the promoting and marketing yourself and social media stuff, which is also important. But I think I'm just grateful I had that season of like just being in my room and being obsessed and literally like forgetting to eat because I was just so in it.
Relatable. Yeah.
Right. Shout out to my mom for like bringing me food sometimes in my room back in the day. She's like, have you eaten today? But yeah, so that's number 2 again, is kind of a hybrid for me. And then obviously number 1 is Missing You. I just feel like that's like by far but it's my favorite song right now, obviously, that I've put out. And like I said, I think this next chapter of music is definitely my favorite, and everything has led up to this sound. It's everything that I love in one song, and still being, it has the big notes and it has the range and it has the little like rappy singing verses and it has the weirdness of the Riesling line and, it has the musicality like in the bridge. It has the dance element.
Has the 5 looks too.
Yeah, all the looks, all the different personalities, come out. And so I would say that's my favorite song right now of mine.
You used all the spices in your spice drawer.
All the spices. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much again, Tori, for joining us.
Are you kidding? I'm so happy I got to do this. You guys are awesome.
If people want to find out more about what you're doing, where should they go?
I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram. I think I have all the things.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh, I think right now TikTok. It's so fun. I just feel like I can be weird there,
Yeah.
TikTok is weird.
They reward weird.
Literally.
It's true.
Yeah. And the comments just kill me. Like, people are just so funny.
Well, if you want to follow me, you can find me at AJ Marks Official on all my socials and as AJ Marks on all streaming services.
Yes, and he has an album coming.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't to you, Tori. I just meant like in general to the podcast.
But also for me, because now I'm going to go. Wait, did you say you have an album coming out? Did you just say that?
I didn't, but I do.
I did.
You did, yeah.
I said it for you, AJ. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I have an album coming out, and I actually also have some Y2K influence. There's one song that like I literally made a boy band of myself.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait. Is there a date?
It's coming. It's coming at some point.
I can't wait. I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm excited.
And if you want to follow me, you can find me at Solaginto on all social media. That's SOLAGUINTO. And as Sola on all streaming platforms, because I am in the process of rebranding. So I don't have stuff out yet on my new thing, but that's coming very soon. And I have a song that I'm featured on called Fantasy Love with the artist 21 Lights Out.
Well, thank you once again, Tori, for coming on.
Yes,
and thank you
course.
so much to Noah for the theme music. And make sure to rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on right now. See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.